Welcome back to the Lumios Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we are talking about what is probably objectively the coolest thing Pokemon's ever done for legendary Pokemon, and that is the Regis. Now, what I mean by this being like the coolest thing is that the Pokemon Company doesn't just hand you these Regis, you work for them, especially in the first games they're introduced in. But it's even true that even today, you kind of work to get Regirock, Registeel, Regice, and now the new Regis, Drago, and Aleki. You work to get them in the Crown Tundra. There are things you have to do. Again, not as complicated back in the day, but yeah. Well, this has always been fascinating to me, and it's always kind of cool that they ask for very specific things. Like, there's not two ways to get these legendary Pokemon. You have to follow it step by step, and, you know, you can't miss a beat. And I always kind of just thought Relicanth, which is one of the Pokemon you need to access these Regis, I always assumed, hey, Relicanth is there because, well, Relicanth is an ancient Pokemon, you know, it's been around for a really long time, and so have the Regis, so yeah, it makes sense that Relicanth's there. And then it was revealed to me that Relicanth is actually a map.
Relicanth is incredible. The whole concept behind it. This is essentially a fossil.
Okay, wait. It is A.
Yeah,
it is A.
This is a living
only thing
fossil
that would knock
Pokemon.
it down a little bit from me is the random red dot.
Yeah, but it's
I like
cool.
that. No, it's
Yeah.
a map. It's a map marker, because its body is a map.
Oh my gosh.
Its body is
I
the
never
map.
caught that.
It's
That
the
is
map of
cool.
Nolan.
Never
that
mind.
either.
That's an
That's
S tier Pokemon. That's an
why
S
you
tier
need it.
Pokemon.
That's why you needed to find the Regis.
That is an S tier Pokemon.
How cool is that?
I never knew
That is
that.
S tier. You just changed this whole Pokemon.
Should I
for
look
me.
that up? I don't even know how to look that up.
She's gonna look it up and find out it's not true.
Yeah, right.
And then it's going right back down to C.
Just if that happens, then just look at it shiny, and you will be forever changed. I
It's-
love it
shiny
shiny
is
so
cool.
much.
It's shiny is cool.
Oh, here
Which-
we go. Is this
Which
first
actually
one?
lines up with it a lot because its
Uh-oh.
shiny is like the sea. It makes so much sense with
yeah,
the
look at-
shiny.
But yeah, so as you can see, Relicanth is a map. The red dot is kind of the treasure location, if you will. This is more evident in its shiny, with the shiny having a blue coloration to it, which further makes its body look like land and sea, you know? So, yeah, and that dot being right there in the water kind of implies that this is probably a location to the diving spot or wherever to get the Regis, because you do need to dive. So that made me think, okay, so Relicanth is now the coolest Pokemon ever. Not literally, but it's very high up there now. But what's with these other Pokemon? There are other Pokemon you need to get the Regis in the different games you can get the Regis in. You know, and some of them make sense. Like, obviously it makes sense that to get Regigigas, I need to have all the Regis with me to awaken, you know, their creator. To get Regieleki and Regidrago, I need the other Regis. That makes sense. They're related. And then, you know, in Platinum, you need Regigigas to awaken the Regis, which, again, makes sense. But can we talk about how dumb that is? Why do I need this event Regigigas to get these Regis so that I can use them to get a Regigigas if I already have the Regigigas? I've always hated that, but it doesn't matter. Those all do make sense. They're all connected. But there's still some Pokemon that are a mystery to me. First off, there's Wailord. Now, Wailord is needed to get the Regis in Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire. You have to have Relicanth in the very front of your party and Wailord in the very back of your party. I was talking to SP Juju, and he thinks that perhaps this is because of evolution. You know, you have Relicanth in the very front of your party and Wailord in the very back, because both are very important Pokemon, and their species that they're inspired by are very important species to evolution. You know, Relicanth is a Pokemon pretty much untouched by evolution. It's been around for, you know, a very, very long time. Coelacanths, the thing it's based off of, have been around for a very, very long time with seemingly none, or at least very minimal, evolutionary change over time. Meanwhile, Wailord, or Whales, is what it's based off of in the real world, in case you didn't know. These are much different. They have seen a ton of evolution. You know, it's easy to quickly say it's a fish, but we kind of all know that whales actually are not fish. Whales are mammals. And so there was a lot of evolution there for mammals. You know, you and I, we're mammals. Our dogs, they're mammals. You know, things like that. You don't typically see living all of their life in water. And yet, that's exactly what whales and whale lord do. They live in the water, implying lots of evolution in these mammals to basically be able to adapt to just living a full life in water. So again, it's big changes of evolution. At the front is a ancient, untouched by evolution, and then in the back is a very evolutionary, advanced Pokemon, and that's why it's front and back, because it's almost like you're illustrating evolution. The start, the end, right? That makes sense. But as much as I like that and do believe that's the case, Relicanth still has more meaning than that, right? It's not just this ancient Pokemon, it's also the map. So what the heck is Wailord? What is this thing? Why is Wailord here? I'd like to think that there's more to Wailord than just it being an evolutionary, illusion with Relicanth. I like to think that there's, a reason that Wailord by itself is here, and I think there is. It talks about in Wailord's Dex entry how Wailord can dive up to 10,000 feet by inhaling. Now, that is a lot, in case you didn't know. For context of just how deep this is, the Titanic, the real world ship, that is about 12,500 feet deep. That's how far down it is. And, obviously, the Titanic's very far down. It took us ages to find it. It sank in 1912. We didn't find it until 1985. And even now, very few people have actually gotten to go and see the wreckage. It's, there's a lot of pressure that deep. All that. There's a lot of reasons that's very hard to get down there. So it's easy to see that, 10,000 feet, that's pretty deep. And so it makes sense that you would need this Pokemon that can dive this deep to get to the treasure that you need to get. You need to unlock these Regis by diving deep down. These people lock these Regis very, very tightly, right? Like, it's not easy to get to, so you're going to need the best diver. You can't go out here with a Chinchou and dive down. That's not going to work. You need Wailord. Now, I think they should have hammered this home by having Wailord have dive, but either way, I think my headcanon at least is that Wailord is kind of the diver in this sense. So Relicanth is the map, Wailord is the transportation, right? That's the pirate ship, if you will. That's another thing, too. Wailord is huge, kind of like a ship. So that's kind of my headcanon, is that Wailord, the ship, Relicanth, the map. You've got your whole pirate crew right there. Now, you may go, wow, that was a great video, and log off. But oddly enough, there actually is another Pokemon that is tied to the Regis, and that is Cryogonal. In Sword and Shield, and the Crown Tundra specifically, you need to get the Regis through puzzles as well. Now, for Regirock, you need to have your Pokemon at the front of your party holding an Everstone. For Registeel, you need to whistle. And for Regice, you need to have a Cryogonal in your party. So, why is this? Because Cryogonal is like one of the most boring Pokemon of all time. What's going on here? Well, actually, it's because Cryogonal is probably very, very closely related to Regice. It says in Cryogonal's Dex entry that it is composed of ice crystals, which Regice literally is. And now you could go, okay, well, so that's just an ice type thing. And it actually really isn't, especially not today when you think about it. I mean, there's lots of ice types like Lapras, Cloyster, Dugong, Glaceon, Alolan Ninetales. All these Pokemon, while they have icy attributes to them and they are the ice type, they're definitely not made of ice crystals. I would say that that's really only reserved for Cryogonal. The Vanillite line, I would also say, kind of falls into that. But I imagine they went with Cryogonal here because it's formed in snow clouds too. So it is really very, very similar to Regice. I mean, in fact, if we're supposed to get the idea that they can be born in snow clouds, perhaps this kind of life to them, this being able to, this animate object, ice crystals, being able to form a living being, perhaps this is exactly what Regigigas was able to do with Regice. That's why it was so easy to make it. These snow crystals can come to life and form Cryogonals, so Regigigas is going to make him form a Regice instead. He just reshaped them. So in a way, Regice is kind of related to Cryogonal, you know, not in a way where Cryogonal evolves into Regis, but in a way where, you know, it's closely related, much like Diancie and Carbink are, without actually being connected in their evolutionary lines. But yeah, I think this is super neat. I love the Regis so much. I love the lore behind them. I love that they are hard to get, at least in the older games, and I like that even in newer games, while they're not hard to get, it's pretty easy to get a Cryogonal or Whistle. You can, like, you have to do something. It's not just like you walk into a cave and there's a Regis right there and that's it. You know, that's legendary Pokemon have really gone downhill, in my opinion, in that regard. So I respect the heck out of the fact that this isn't the case with these guys. You do still have to work to them. And I love that there is reasoning behind these. You know, once again, Relicanth is a treasure map to get to these Pokemon. Wailord is the ship that'll get you there and can dive super deep down, so it can get you as far down as you need to go to get those Regis. Also, Wailord and Relicanth representing evolution, and then Cryogonal being able to unlock Regis, because frankly, they're like cousins. I think that's super cool, and you know, that wasn't even a pun, but I do think it's super cool. And it also is kind of neat that Cryogonal has something to it now. Because seriously, it's a boring mon. It's cool looking, don't get me wrong, again, pun not intended, but it's boring. But yeah, be sure to let me know what you think of the Regis. Which one's your favorite one? Regirock, Regice, Registeel, Regidrago, Regieleki, Regigigas? Which one? I think I like probably Regidrago the best, but I do really like the originals. Man, it's hard to choose, and I probably would change my answer every day, but let me know yours in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss all of our future Pokemon videos, where we're going to, you know, come up with theories, come up with lore stuff, all that fun stuff. You don't want to miss that, so like, subscribe, and hit the bell. And until next time, I'll see all of you later.